Hello, everyone. It's 11:30, and welcome to Conversations with the Coaches. I am your coach, that Jet, and we have Shayna DuPont. Coach Shayna DuPont, how are you doing
Hello.
today?
Good morning, everyone. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We're talking backstage, and it's a good day, and things are going well. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If this is your first time meeting us, we just have conversations, authentic conversations between two coaches. I do educational leadership coach, and Coach Shayna, she does family, and is it family and
Family and marriage.
family and marriage? There we
And
go.
I
Okay,
do some personal development, but for the most part, families.
I
Really
love it.
just personal relationships, right?
Personal relationship, and don't we all need that, right? And so if you ever need anything from us, please feel free to let us know. And always, you can find us on our various social media platforms. We are there and live. But today our topic is authentically empowered. And I think it's right on time, right? With Shane, we're talking about the different things we have going on. I
Yes.
have meetings, she has kiddos, she has other meetings, like I got kiddos. So we just have a lot going on. But it's authentically, right? It's authentically how we're empowered, it's authentically who we are and what we do. Does that make sense? I
It
mean,
does,
that's how I'm
absolutely.
feeling.
Yeah, we were just talking about this backstage. So, I was just telling Vet, like, I barely had time to, even I have not a lick of makeup on. I've just got, my daughter's t-shirt from the other room because my youngest is sick, and we're still doing the show, and that's not changing anything. So we are coming from a truly authentic place today.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. And for me, I would say, oh, my water heater broke, of course. It broke last week. And of course we had to get it fixed. So finding ways to get the kiddos hot showers, not be too worried. And of course my good friend Shayna, Coach Shayna, offered. But we're making it work, right? We're making it work. And then if you think about it, it's our authentic and our true self. And then how do we get that to empower us, right? How do we ensure that those situations and circumstances don't just overwhelm us, but it's an opportunity to truly be in the power of the now, be in the power of true growth, and true clarity, right? So that's what we've been with our authentic empowerment.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of people, I think, too, that they don't know how to be authentic, right?
Mm,
And if you think about it from a people pleaser place, I know last week we kind of kept jumping on the type A personalities. But
mm,
this week, I really want to kind of look at people pleasers. Um,
mm,
and that is just such an unhealthy way of being. Those are the people that are always nice. They don't really say too much.
yeah.
They don't. Um, they're not really true to their own feelings. They suppress that a lot of the time so that they can keep those attachments to whatever it is, their job, their boss, their families, and whatnot.
Mm.
So those are typically the people that are going to have the hardest time really getting that connection with their inner self to really find their authentic voice. And that's the voice that, me especially, and I know you too, we're looking for people to tap into. And that's where you're going to draw that power from, right? Being authentically empowered. Um, and I think it's really important to find a coach, especially if you are someone who has no clue, generally how you feel, what you're feeling, how you're thinking, who you are. That is definitely a huge screaming sign that you need a coach.
Mm, mm. And that's powerful, right? And there's so many ways. And I think honestly, being empowered goes right back into the mindset, right? I
Mhm.
know for me, it's like things have just been coming out of nowhere. And I really have to truly hone in and harness my mindset and knowing that the power is within me, not necessarily without me, even though there's existential circumstances going on. But how do I manage that on the inside, right? And it's about mindset. And I'll share a book I told you I'm reading. I'll pull it up because I think it's like so cool. And I hope Rachel knows this. But Rachel Rogers, if you can see it, can you see it there? Rachel Rogers, there it is. I love her. And she has a book called We Should All Be Millionaires, right? And not just the concept of just having a lot of money, which is good, right? And I think it's nothing wrong with having a lot of money, having the resources that you and your family needs, because that makes a difference. That makes a difference in how you live and the choices you make. And why not have that $1 million mindset, that mindset that is bigger than you are, bigger than the moment, and really just taps into, like we're talking about, that empowerment that you may not have had in the beginning, but develops over time. That's what I'm thinking, working on.
Absolutely. I think as far as, the goals and the dreams too, as far as my clients, a lot of the things that I'm looking for people to do to tap into that authentically empowered place is really understanding their why. So if you have a goal to be a millionaire, that's great. Chase that goal. However, why are you doing that? Are you doing that so that you can get something? Are you doing it because you think it'll make you happy? Or are you doing that from a truly authentic place where you're saying, okay, great, I'm going to continue to chase that dream and I'm going to continue to use my blessings to bless others or bless people in my family? Then it becomes a little more kind of authentic. So
Hey, how are you doing?
you really want to tap into just kind of that inner gut feeling. That's really what your authentic self is, right? Um, so that's definitely what needs to happen. As far as when you are children, um, a lot of the times when we're being raised by our parents, there are um, there are things that happen in childhood that our parents unintentionally do. And that is when we're being raised, we're born, we have the significant need for attachment, right? So you have an attachment need, you also have a need to be authentic. Now, you cannot survive without attachment. So a lot of the times, what happens is if you have to choose between one and the other, what's going to happen is you're going to choose your attachment need over your need for authenticity. So, what that means is as you grow through infancy and toddler years, you are going to basically separate from yourself. You are going to suppress those true emotions, who you are as a person, so that you can save the attachment. So, what that looks like is if you have a parent, or if both of your parents are the type where they can't deal with you being your authentic self. Meaning, if you're having a tantrum, if you're screaming, if you won't go to sleep, or anything like this, and these are all things that we don't even remember. But if you were separated, or if you were told to stop that, or you were basically told that that was not an acceptable thing, and you didn't have that parent there to coach you through that, what you're going to eventually learn how to do is you're going to break away from that attachment need. I'm sorry, not the attachment need. You're going to break away from that authentic need that you have. So you will start to learn how to suppress how you feel so that you can get the love and the understanding and the nurturement and the attachment that you really need from your parents. Why this is so important is because a lot of us in our adults' lives, we really just kind of don't know who we are. There are so many people that I have spoken with that are potential clients or in consultations, and there's certain questions when I'm just like, who are you? Who are you as a person? What is your true authentic self? What do you want? What do you truly want in life? I don't think I've had one person yet that could answer that quickly, which to
Ooh.
me is like, holy cow, we don't even know who we truly are within, right? That authentic self. And we also don't know what we truly want and why. And I think
Ooh.
that's just so, like, my gosh. Well, no wonder we can't be authentically empowered, because we need to know that information and tap into that inner parts of ourselves to really grow and understand that, right? So
Mm.
to your point, that mindset, that looking within yourself, it is within. And that's
Mm.
just kind of what I encourage people to do, to not chase something external to make you happy. You need to look within. You need to
Mm,
sit with that mindset for a minute. You need to sit with yourself for a while. And that's really when you need to come through for yourself and say, well, what feels good? What's my intuition? What's my gut
mm,
feeling? What is my dream? Right. And these are the people that, I don't know, for example, they'll go 10, 15, 20 years, their whole lives wanting to write a book, but never actually doing it. Right. But that's
mm.
your authentic self. You get that nudge or that inkling or that idea for a reason. That's your authentic self trying to tell you to follow that dream.
That is interesting. And you know what, Shayna? And I'm curious that maybe I know someone asked me one time, like, what do I really want? And I knew what I wanted, right? But I wasn't comfortable sharing that out loud. And I think creating this safe space is also a key to letting people know. And I think sometimes we as people don't allow others to be who they really are their authentic selves, right? Because sometimes, and we shoot people down so quickly with who they truly are. Because like me, I truly want to live on the beach, and I want to live so close to the beach that when I finish my task for the day, I can walk outside to the beach. Like that's like truly what I want, right? I really want a slow life, right? Just a slow, peaceful, chill life and like have all the abundance and not have an external want, right? But then that doesn't sound like the American way, the American dream, right? But of course that empowers me and that empowers others to speak their true selves.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you why most people do not allow others to be their authentic selves and truly love them and be understanding and support them through that. That makes most people very uncomfortable. And that's
Mm,
because, from a parenting perspective, none of us, and I don't want to say none of us, most of us, were not taught how to be authentic ourselves. We
mm,
are not taught how to be okay with who we are, truly,
mm,
and who our identity is. Right? We're always having to put on this face to the world, if you will, to show a different part of us that other people will like. And a
mm,
lot of the times, I find that most people are not willing to do the hard work that it really takes to live their dream life. So, in
mm.
order for them to accept and support you, well, they're not going to stay stuck behind. So it's easier for them, right? Most people take the easy way out. The easy thing is to start to tear you down. Well, what are you talking
Mm,
about? What do you mean you want to, I'm using you for an example. What do you mean you want to go live on the beach? Yeah, isn't that great? Everybody wants to go live on the beach someday. Okay.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But they'll start saying
Yeah.
all of these things to start discouraging you from truly chasing what you want. And that's only because it makes
Mm,
them so uncomfortable. And they know, in order for them to level up, if they will, to maintain that attachment to you or relationship with you, they have to put on a lot of work too. And most
yeah.
people aren't willing to do that.
Yeah, and you know what? The fact that you said it takes work, right? It's going to take work and it's going to take effort. And one
So
of the
much.
things is, I heard Rachel Rogers say, is that the dreams can scare you, right? Your dreams, and your true, authentic dreams can be so big that they feel scary, and that's kind of where you want to be because that's a part of the motivation theory, right? What motivates you? What's driving you? And that dream and that desire of empowerment can be very, very scary. But it is probably one of the places that will propel you to your next level, to your next big accomplishment, right? Whatever that is. And sometimes, Shayna, it's just accepting that it is what it is and that you want what you want and you are who you are, right? And showing up like authentically who you are. I did some research on that. Is just showing up who you are in the workplace. I know D&I talks about that a lot. Is showing up as your authentic self. How powerful is that when you can show up as just who you are? That's it, just who you are.
That's absolutely, that's empowering, but I find that it is very scary. And I find that people will tend to shy away from that. And again, most of us don't have those capabilities or the tools yet or the experiences yet of how to truly be our authentic selves based on how we were raised and brought up. And I really want people to understand that, because when something seems so big and scary to you, but you have that kind of gut feeling or intuition, you got to run with that, and you have to set up
Mm,
boundaries. And a lot of the times you need to keep that big dream to yourself. And there's a reason for that. It's your dream. This is who you are. You are trying to tap into your authentic being. And you need to start being okay with yourself first. Do the work yourself first to really build that muscle of authenticity and
mm,
authentic empowerment. And then you need to start practicing displaying that and being okay with the fact that other people are not probably not going to
mm.
respond well to your boundaries and your
Yeah.
authentic being. And when you're really comfortable with yourself and who you are, regardless of what others feel, that's when that true, authentic empowerment really comes out and shines. And then you're able to really
Mm.
teach others how to do the same.
And you know what? It's about grace, giving grace to yourself to go
Yes.
through the work, right? To go through the internal work that it takes to really dig into who you are, what you want, what you're designed to do. And it doesn't always have to be as uncomfortable as we think it is. I remember we were at church on Sunday, and he was talking the pastor was talking about that, just taking dedicated time
Yes.
to meditate, to think through who you are. And sometimes we don't take the time to sit and think and be with ourselves, which then leads to us not being able to tap into our power, right? Like that's what it comes down to, Shayna, is tapping into that power that is deep down inside, that we can muster it up so that we can live in that power and live in that power continually.
Absolutely. And that I think is so important because if you are not willing to spend that alone time, that is
Mm,
really just, it's imperative to find out who you are and be authentically you. You have
mm,
to spend time with yourself, right? And there's so many people that I come across anyway that are scared to be alone. So what happens is they'll kind of constantly need stimulation from some external source, and those are generally the ones that are the furthest disconnected from that true empowered being on the inside.
mm,
And I mean, obviously, coming from my background, being a Christian, that's my prayer time. That is my time to have
mm.
some one-on-one time with God, because I know that that power within me, who I was created to be from God, that I got to spend time there, right? Like
Exactly.
I have to connect, and connecting with him is also connecting with myself and really trusting
Mm,
that, as scared as I am or as crazy as this sounds, that that idea or that kind of desire was placed in me for a reason, right?
mm,
So
mhm.
I encourage people to spend the alone time, spend that extra time, in prayer time, in the word. I mean, really just kind of, I don't care if it's 15 minutes a day before
Yeah,
you go to bed or first thing in the morning, wake up 15 minutes earlier if that's all you have, and spend that time connecting.
exactly. Oh, and I love that, right? Because it's about the connection, the internal connection
Yes.
that leads to this knowing and being able to hear the gentle nudges that leads to authentically who you are. And then I guess for me, right, when I think of it from an educational leadership perspective, right, taking the time to tap into what others need as well
Yes.
really empowers you, because when you look at, like we talked about last week, the emotional intelligence and the being self-aware and the truly listening to what's going on around you, the active listening, the effective communication, knowing what's going on so that you are able and in a space of openness, right? Like opening up who you are and what you need to be, and not just for yourself but for others, right? Because when we're living in our calling, that's empowering others as well.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
that's, I mean, there's so much truth to that, right? Like you have to, you really just have to make room for it, right? So,
Mm,
kind of playing off of what you said there, if you want your life to be different, you have to make room for the new things that are trying to come in, right? So if
Mm.
I mean, I'm talking from obviously a Christian background here, but if I want God to continue to bless me more abundantly and just shower me with all of the things that, I'm looking to do in my life or really feel like I am called to do in my life, I have to make room for that. So basically that just
Mm.
means that I have to spend time with myself. I have to grow. I have to let go of sometimes things that are holding me back, things that are holding me down, things that are kind of in my ear to not do it or not follow my intuition,
Mm.
people even that are not respecting my boundaries. I really have to start making room in my life and letting other things go that are now in the last season so I can start making room for what's coming in my new season.
Oh, Shayna, I love that, right? Because you said just making room, listening.
Make room.
Um, I know for me, there's been times where I didn't listen. And so it's like you said, God had to make the room for me. And that feels so much different than when you make it for yourself. Like there were
Yeah.
some, like there's been some decisions I probably should have made, but I didn't. And like God nudged me like, okay, you make this decision now. Like this is the direction I want you to go in. This is what I need you to do next, right?
Hmm.
And which is empowering me to live in a different authenticity, right? Playing back on
Right.
our title, just being able to live in a different authenticity because I've asked him for abundance. And with abundance comes power, and it power um, leads to an empowerment, right? And it first starts in the mind and in the soul.
Absolutely. And, here's the thing. You're not going to give someone something that you think that they're just going to be careless with and waste, right? So,
Mm,
um, there's going to be times that you're going to need to take care of making that room and then really nurturing the blessing that's coming, right? So you have to take care of it.
mm,
So in the Bible, and I don't remember exactly what verse this is coming from, but we just talked about this recently in church. But the new wine, it was put into new wine skins, right?
yes, yes,
So that
yes.
it could hold it, right? Because if you put
Mm,
new wine and then it expands in an old skin, what's going to happen? It'll
the
rupture, and
burst.
then the wine
Hmm.
spills everywhere, and then so it's not. They're not. God is not going to waste giving you the abundance that you're asking for, or whatever it is that you want or that you desire, that you're trying to follow, as far as what that authentic need or call is telling you to do. That blessing is not going to be wasted, right? So that's why it's so important too to connect with yourself, make room for
Mm.
that, right? So that you can get the blessing and then it has room to expand and start to become
Ooh,
something that's going to just pour out and give life to others, right?
I love. Oh my gosh, Shayna, I love that. I think that's in Matthews if I remember correctly. And it reminds me, and like I remember that story, and that is so perfect, right? Because how can you be filled up with newness when you're stuck with the old mindset, right?
That's
And
right.
I think you just solved the problem I've been struggling with because I was struggling with the old mindset, right? And how can God empower me if I'm stuck in an old mindset, right? And I think that's for anybody. We get caught up in what we used to do, how we used to live, how it used to be. You always hear that like all the time, right? Is oh, when I was younger, this or that, or when I was there. And so it's like it's releasing, and it's a new pouring, and it's a new day, and it's a new moment. And it reminds me, I guess this is the direction we're supposed to go, so I'll share this. It reminds me of the prayer of Jabez. I want to say from First Chronicles 4:10 or Second Chronicles 4:10, but Jabez asked God to bless him and bless him indeed and increase his territory and let him not do harm to himself or anyone else. And it said God granted his request. So I think that is the powerful, powerful thing that we need to understand is that we will have the empowerment to be who we're called to be, to go where we're called to go, and do what we're called to do, right? And it just brings about a freshness, and it brings about a strength that you know that power is there and is coming.
Absolutely. And I mean, even if someone is not a Christian, even if someone's just looking at a universe perspective, right?
Mm,
Where it's,
mhm.
positive and negative vibes and whatnot. I mean, you can really take this in any direction, based on your beliefs, but it applies to everyone, right? So we call it God.
Yes.
Other people might say the universe or karma or whatever
Mhm.
it is that you believe. This all still applies. Um, so you really just want to tap into that authenticity, right? And you
Yeah.
do need to let things go. And that is going to be scary.
Mm.
That is going to be uncomfortable. You are going to lose things in your life, not just things, but relationships and people. You will outgrow them, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. So I always tell people to think about the tree. And it's actually a rather violent act if you think about it.
Mm.
But what a
Mm.
tree does when it is preparing for the winter is it knows it needs to start killing off and pushing out the leaves, right? In the fall, it's
Mm.
beautiful. It's beautiful to us to see it. But what's actually happening is the tree knows that it will die throughout the winter if it does not start to conserve its water supply, right? So it
Yeah.
does not have
Woo.
enough at that point to supply enough water to itself and then
Mm.
going through to the leaves. So what
Yeah.
it starts to do is it starts to stop or hold back what it's giving out. The leaves will start
Mm.
to change color, they start to die off and fall. But the tree knows that come springtime, it will grow a set of brand new leaves. It will provide
Mm.
shade for others. And I tell people, I love the tree, right? The tree of life. And I say this all the time. It knows it has to let go at certain seasons for it to conserve what it needs to continue to grow and not die off itself, right? It has
Mm.
to protect
Mhm.
itself first. And then after that winter season comes and it spends all that time and energy, nurturing itself and protecting itself and watering itself in the spring, in that new season, growth will come.
Growth will come. Growth will come. I love it. Oh my goodness. That is powerful. Reminds me also of pruning, right? Taking
Hmm.
away those things
Yes.
that don't add value to you anymore or don't add value to what you're doing or where you need to go in order to produce more and produce better. So I think that's along the same lines of
Yes.
pruning yourself, pruning your spirit, right? Pruning your mind so that you can have a renewed sense of being and renewed sense of purpose. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh, that's powerful. Shayna, we got
So,
2 minutes left. What are you
yes.
thinking?
We have 2 minutes left. So I'm going to wrap up with this. I think it's really important what you just said, pruning, right? You have to remove anyone and anything when you are trying to go through a season of growth for yourself. You have to do that pruning process. And that is removing any thought, any person, anything in your life that is sucking the energy out of you or
Yeah,
bringing
yeah.
in that negativity to your mind, and you
Mm,
need to start removing that so that there is room for you to grow and flourish, right? So you don't want
mm,
something that is, kind of dead or held back, um, to continue to suck you dry. Because what will happen is you will end up, I say dying, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like you'll end up
hmm.
just stuck and miserable.
Stuck. Yeah. Oh, and it's important that we get unstuck and we truly
Yes.
live in our authentic power, in our authentic glory, and just in the presence of where we are to be and where we're going and what we have to offer to the world. And I think, oh
Absolutely.
my God, I love this one, Shayna. I love it. It just felt like a conversation at the kitchen table
Yes,
with my
absolutely.
friend, of course. Oh my God.
Pleasure as
But
always, Matt.
everyone, yes, oh my gosh. And thank you. So many great insights today. So many great insights were shared. And friends and family, if you have a chance, check us out on our social media pages. We are here to help you grow into your authentic self. And
Amen.
it's great. It's good. So keep growing, keep going. But Coach Shayna, thank you. I love our conversations.
Thank you, Coach Vet. I will see you next week. Thank you, everyone.
See you next week. Bye for now, everyone. Have a great day. And whatever you do, be authentically you. Be who you're called to be and do what you're called to do because it matters.
Amen.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye, Shayna.
Bye, honey.